from village huts to royalty. I still remember that morning like it happened yesterday. The sun had not yet risen when the cry of a newborn echoed through our quiet village of Umioma. It wasn't an ordinary cry. There was something about it, soft, but powerful. Weak, yet commanding. Even the elders said the air felt different that morning. No one knew that the baby crying in that small mud hut would one day sit on a royal throne. My name is Obina, and I grew up in Umioma, a peaceful Igbo village surrounded by green hills and tall palm trees. Our people lived simple lives: farmers, hunters, potters, and storytellers. We didn't have much, but we had one another. At the edge of the village lived a poor widow named Ememe Nena. Her husband, a hunter, had died in the forest when she was only 3 months pregnant. They said wild animals attacked him, but some believed the gods took him because his spirit was too great for the world. When her baby was born, she named him Obioma, meaning kind heart. And indeed, he was. Even as a small boy, Obioma was different from other children. He helped the elderly carry firewood, shared food with those who had none, and fixed broken roofs after storms. But strange things happened around him too, things no one could explain. When he was just 7 years old, their small hut caught fire in the middle of the night. Everyone ran there, shouting and carrying buckets of water. But when we reached, we found something no one could believe. The fire danced around the hut, but it didn't burn anything. Not the roof. Not the mats. Not even the dry grass. It was as if the fire was alive, protecting rather than destroying. When the flames disappeared, not a single thing was lost. The elders whispered, "This boy is not ordinary." Years passed. Obioma grew into a tall, quiet young man, thoughtful, wise, and humble. He spent most of his days by the river, carving little toys out of wood or helping the fishermen repair their nets. He loved the sound of flowing water. He used to say, "When the river speaks, I listen." One afternoon, as the sun was setting, Obioma noticed something glittering by the riverbank. He dug into the sand and found a small stone, smooth, round, and glowing faintly, like it held sunlight inside. He carried it home and showed it to his mother. Ememe Nena froze when she saw it. "This is not an ordinary stone," she said softly. "It looks like the stone of Okaiga, the ancient protector of Umioma." That night, she dreamed of her late husband. He stood beside her bed and said, "The boy carries greatness, but the road to royalty will test both your hearts." When she woke, she said nothing. She just held her son close and prayed silently. Months passed, and soon the story of the glowing stone spread through the village. Some said the stone was sacred. Others whispered that it was cursed. But Obioma didn't mind. He was kind to everyone, never boasting, never arguing. Then came the drought. The river dried up, crops withered, and the sky refused to rain. Hunger filled our land. The village priest declared that the gods were angry that someone had offended them. And that night, the people decided that it was Ememe Nena and her son. They brought a cursed stone, they shouted. "They must leave before we all die." I was there when they dragged them to the village square. Obioma held his mother's hand tightly, his face calm, eyes full of sadness. The chief raised his staff and said, "You are banished from Umioma. Go, and may the gods judge your hearts." As they turned to leave, lightning struck the sacred tree beside the square. The thunder was so loud that the ground shook. The chief's staff broke in two. Everyone screamed and ran for cover. Some old women began crying, saying, "We have made a great mistake." But Obioma did not look back. He walked away with his mother, holding the glowing stone close to his chest. For 3 long years, no one saw them. Some said they died in the forest. Others said spirits took them. But one day, travelers came from a faraway kingdom called Umakis. They spoke of a young man who had healed their sick and fed their poor, a man they called the healer from the east. They said he carried a stone that glowed like the sun. When I heard that, my heart stopped. Could it be Obioma? Months later, I traveled to Umakis myself. And when I reached there, I saw him, the same boy we had banished. He was sitting beside the king, dressed in simple white cloth, helping the weak and blessing the children. He had grown taller, stronger, but his eyes were still the same, calm, kind, forgiving. When he saw me, he smiled and said, "Obinna, how is home?" I fell to my knees and wept. "Home has not been the same since you left," I said. "We were wrong." He lifted me up gently and said, "No one is beyond forgiveness." Time passed, and Obioma became loved by the people of Umakis. He helped rebuild villages, healed the wounded, and brought peace wherever he went. The king trusted him deeply, treating him like a son. Then one day, the king fell sick and the royal priest said he had no heir. They prayed to the gods for a sign. And the oracle spoke. "The son of the widow from Umiuma carries royal blood. He shall rule not because of birth, but because of destiny." The council searched Obioma's body and found a small mark behind his left ear. A mark only worn by descendants of the royal line. It turned out that his father, the hunter who died, was once a prince of Umakis, who had fled years ago to live a humble life in Umiuma. He had never revealed who he truly was. And now, his son, the boy from the heart, was the rightful heir. When the old king passed, Obioma was crowned King Obioma of Umakis. He didn't forget his mother. He carried her into the palace with his own hands, dressed her in royal cloth, and made her sit beside him on the throne. She wept and whispered, "My son, you are proof that kindness is stronger than curses." When he returned to our village, he came not with pride, but with love. He built new homes for the poor, repaired the market square, and built a school by the same river where he once played. He even rebuilt his old hut, the one made of mud and grass, exactly the same size, but this time with gold and clay. He said it would remind him of where he came from. The people fell on their knees and begged for forgiveness. But he smiled and said, "Even the gods forgive. Who am I not to?" From that day, Umiuma became blessed again. Rain fell. Crops grew. Children laughed. And for the first time in many years, peace returned. As king, Obioma ruled with humility. He often said, "Royalty is not about the crown on your head, but the heart that beats inside you." He made new laws that protected widows and orphans, built wells for every village, and schools for every child, boys and girls alike. He was a king who listened, a king who gave, and a king who never forgot the mud hut that raised him. Many years later, when King Obioma died peacefully in his sleep, people from both kingdoms, Umiuma and Umakis, came together to mourn. They said he was not just a king, but a light sent to remind men that greatness can rise from the dust. Even today, whenever I tell his story to my children, I always end with these words. Never look down on the one who lives in a hut today. For destiny does not fear poverty. The gods choose their kings from anywhere, even from the humblest hearts. Thank you for watching, my friend. Every story we share carries a piece of who we are. If this one touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to Tessyinspire Folktales. Because here, our stories live forever.